Have you ever tried to improve a process only to realize that no one could fully explain how it actually worked? This happens more often than you might think. Whether you're redesigning a student service, implementing a new technology, or simply trying to make a workflow more efficient, it's difficult to improve a process if you don't have a clear picture of what is happening today. That's where process mapping comes in. Welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here, I'm Dr. Katie Linder, a certified project manager, change manager, and coach who works full-time leading and supporting teams in higher education. On this channel, I offer real-world examples of how project management translates into the higher ed environment. If you're looking for ways to use project management tools and skills, both professionally and personally, to bring more ease to your work and life, you're in the right place. Process mapping is the practice of visually documenting the steps involved in completing a process. It helps teams understand how work moves from beginning to end, who is involved, where decisions are made, and how information flows throughout the process. Think of a process map as a roadmap for how work gets done. Instead of relying on assumptions or individual perspectives, a process map creates a shared understanding of what is actually happening. For example, imagine your institution wants to improve the process for onboarding new employees. At first, the process might seem straightforward, but once you begin mapping it out, you may discover that multiple departments are involved. Human resources, information technology, payroll, supervisors, and new employees may all play different roles throughout the process. You may also uncover delays, duplicate steps, approval bottlenecks, or communication gaps that weren't obvious before. This is one of the biggest benefits of process mapping. It helps make the invisible visible. Many organizational processes develop gradually over time. Different people add steps, create workarounds, or establish local practices that may not be documented anywhere. Eventually, no single person fully understands how the entire process works. Creating a process map allows everyone to see the bigger picture. And process mapping isn't just about documenting the process, it's about learning from the process. When people come together to map out their work, important conversations begin to happen. Someone may ask why a particular approval is required. Another person may point out that two departments are collecting the same information. Someone else may identify a task that no longer serves a meaningful purpose. These insights often become the foundation for process improvement efforts. In higher education, process mapping can be especially useful because many institutional processes cross departmental boundaries. Think about processes like student admissions, course scheduling, financial aid, hiring, curriculum approval, or grant administration. These activities often involve multiple offices, numerous stakeholders, and complex decision points. Without a shared understanding of the process, it can be difficult to identify opportunities for improvement. Now, it's important to remember that process mapping isn't only for fixing problems. It can also be valuable when implementing new systems, training employees, documenting procedures, managing change initiatives, or preparing for organizational growth. A process map helps teams establish clarity, even when a process is already working relatively well. There are many different ways to create a process map. Some teams use simple flowcharts. Others create more detailed diagrams that show decision points, responsibilities, timelines, or handoffs between departments. The specific format matters less than the conversation that happens while creating the map. If you've never created a process map before, the good news is that the process is often simpler than people expect. Typically, process mapping starts by defining the beginning and end points of the process you're trying to understand. In other words, where does the process start, and what outcome signals that it's complete? Next, gather the people who are involved in the process and identify the major steps that occur along the way. As you document those steps, you'll also want to note important decision points, handoffs between individuals or departments, and any systems or tools that play a role in the work. Once the current process has been mapped, review it as a group and look for areas where delays, bottlenecks, duplication, or confusion might be occurring. Finally, use what you've learned to design a future state process that improves efficiency, communication, or the overall experience for the people involved. The actual diagram can be as simple or as detailed as you need it to be. What's most important is creating a shared understanding of how the work happens today and how it could happen more effectively in the future. One of the most common mistakes is assuming that a single person can create an accurate process map alone. The best process maps are usually created collaboratively because different people experience the process from different perspectives. Bringing those perspectives together often reveals important details that might otherwise be missed. Another important concept in process mapping is the distinction between the current state and the future state. The current state map documents how the process works today. The future state map describes how the team wants the process to work after improvements have been made. Creating both versions allows teams to move from understanding the present to designing a better future. At its core, process mapping is about creating clarity. When teams can clearly see how work happens, they are better equipped to identify challenges, reduce inefficiencies, improve collaboration, and create better experiences for the people that they serve. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Have you ever participated in a process mapping exercise? What surprised you most about what you learned? And if you found this video helpful, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more content on how to apply project management approaches within higher education contexts. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.